We are going to start in about 30 seconds, so feel free to come on in if you're in the lobby. And
all our shame, you took the nails and took our place. No one else could do what you have done. One name is higher, one name is stronger than any grave, than any throne.
so welcome to our State of the Roof, our spring State of the Roof. Do you need one or both of these mics on? You want to leave this one on too? Okay, great. Oh, thanks, Mike. There he is. I'm gonna wait till the end. Yeah. I don't think the camera will capture the power of my moves. All right, so welcome to this spring State of the Roof. You who are in person, everybody in person, and you who are online. Hello, online State of the Roofers. Before we jump into any business, we're all about community here, so look around and stand up and go say hello to somebody.
The only Savior, Jesus Messiah. To you alone, our praise belongs. Christ exalted on high. We'll sing your praise, we'll sing your praise.
Okay. Very good with the community. Good job, team. Now, because we're all about love, Chandler Vowell is going to stand up. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Chandler Vowell. Happy birthday to you. I should have asked, is it anybody else's birthday here tonight? Yesterday? Doesn't count, sorry. Close, no cigar. All right, so these are, if you're wondering what we're doing here tonight, these are twice annual church business meetings as required by the bylaws. The founders in their brilliance 20 years ago decided that we needed to gather together twice a year to do important church business things. In the spring, we approve our budget, and
hey, we want to thank you guys so much for being with us this morning. Hope
also,
you guys have a great week.
Enjoy
look
giving you
forward
the
to
inside
worshiping with you
scoop
either
on
in
what's
person
going
next
on
week
at
in the
Rooftop.
building or back
You are
here
Rooftop.
online.
You deserve
Either
to
way,
know what's happening here.
Worship God with us, and we'll see
on
you
the
then.
inside. We also want to give you the chance to ask whatever questions that you might have about the church, because we want you to be in the know. I know everything's going on in the church, but you might not, and we want you to know about what you want to know. So we're going to have an open Q&A at the end of every State of the Roof, at the end of this meeting, as we do at the end of every State of the Roof meeting. So if you have questions about this or that, then just write them down, and you'll have your chance to ask them at the end of the meeting. Also want to welcome any first-time State of the Roofers. Any first-time State of the Roofers here? Raise your hand, first-time State of the Roof. Yeah. Woo. I'm telling you people, this is going to be a night to remember. It's going to be amazing. Yes. So if you are on the voting roster, hopefully you checked in. Anna Winkleman should have been was at the door checking you in. And the voting roster is that group of people that have elected themselves to vote on important stuff around here, whether it's budget or bylaw changes or elder elections. It's relatively simple to be on the voting roster. You just have to be 16 years old. You got to be an earnest Christian. You have to have attended Rooftop as your exclusive church home for 6 months prior to the State of the Roof meeting. You also have to have attended one out of every 2 State of the Roof meetings, so that's why we need record of your attendance. If you don't attend one out of every 2, if you miss a couple in a row, you get gently removed. Gently. But it's relatively easy to reapply. Just go to rooftop.org/SOTR and reapply, and we'll happily put you back on. All right, so we're going to jump into some important things in a moment, but first I want to introduce you to Greg Cook. He's one of our elders, and he is going to open us in prayer. So Greg Cook, ladies and gentlemen.
Father, I just thank you for our time together here tonight, Lord. I thank you for the ability to meet and not only do the business of the church, but just have community, Lord. It's been such a year where we've just needed community, and just seeing all these faces back is just such a promise of what you've given us, Father. I thank you for tonight. I thank you for the budget that we're able to present to the congregation and the ability to be good stewards for your money, Lord. And I just ask that you bless the decisions made here. In your holy name, amen.
Okay, at every State of the Roof, we start by giving you a giving and a spending update. And we do this as a means of accountability. You all are so generous with the money that God has given you and giving it to the church. And we have an open books policy at Rooftop. We want you to know how your money is being spent because we are accountable to you for that. So we've got a couple people coming up to tell you about that. In his last appearance at State of the Roof as our treasurer, Eric Mills will be giving us another treasurer performance here. This might be a little surprising for you if you were at our fall State of the Roof, because last fall, Eric gave his last presentation as our treasurer. And we said goodbye to him because he and his wife were relocating to Oklahoma. We actually got another treasurer when he told us that he was leaving, Susan Hershey, who, by his own admission, might be even more qualified. She actually works in finance, not investigating white-collar crime. So we are happy, though. Eric and Susan are going to be presenting the expense report and income report together here this evening. But we are happy that we get one more State of the Roof presentation out of Eric Mills. And while I've got your attention, let's give him another thank you applause. We're not kicking him out of the role, though. He is looking forward to pursuing some other ministry opportunities here at Rooftop. So I've actually included him. I didn't tell you this. I've included you in the preaching schedule this summer. You're going to be finishing Isaiah for us. Yeah. So following Eric and Susan's presentation, Mark Camille will be up on stage to present our projected budget for the upcoming fiscal year. Mark is our budget manager. He works with the elders to assemble the budget and manage the budget. And we're very excited about this upcoming budget. It's our largest budget ever, our largest budget over $1 million. Yeah, we're excited about this budget. Yeah. That's a reference to a 90s movie, in case you have no idea what we're talking about. Mark has been serving as our budget manager for several years, but this is the year of turnover. He actually is also moving out of his position. He's Jason's right-hand man at the soundboard and does a fantastic job at the soundboard. But he also has found a replacement for us. Drew McEwen will be stepping in as our budget manager. And like Susan, Drew might actually be more qualified for this role also. Drew, just so you know, received his PhD in church budgeting at Oral Roberts University and is a frequent contributor to Church Budgeting Today, the foremost periodical in church budgeting managers. So we're excited for Drew's expertise. All that to say, we've got great people here at Rooftop, but we're so excited that when they move on to do something else, God provides even more great people for us. So first, Eric and Susan, and then Drew and Mark.
Well, this is outstanding. As usual, Treasury is happy to serve as the keynote speaker for tonight's State of the Roof address. And Matt, I kind of assumed you were going to give me that like after Christmas before New Year's Sunday when no one's at church to be the preacher, the guest preacher. Isaiah? I'm up for Isaiah. All right, very good. Well, welcome, especially new State of the Roofers. That's exciting to be here for this. I'm Eric Mills. I serve as Rooftop Church's treasurer. As is the custom at every State of the Roof, I'm going to provide an overview of Rooftop's income and expenses for the fiscal year, present our current financial position, and answer any questions you may have. I also want to introduce you to our incoming treasurer, Susan Hershey.
Sure this time, though.
I'm sure this time.
Okay.
I will not be up here in 6 months. It will just be Susan. I'm excited to see what innovative improvements she introduces into Treasury operations and what she looks like in a bow tie. What? Yes, we've had this talk. So Susan and I are going to kind of tag team this. The financial report covers our fiscal year, which is May of 2020 through April of 2021. So it's ending today, I guess. Nearly all giving and expenses for April have been incurred and booked, so tonight's financial report effectively captures the whole fiscal year. And Susan and I will be referring to the documents provided in your State of the Roof information packet as we provide our remarks. So we'll start with offering income. Our monthly average offering income, that's the sheet that looks like this. That's a graph. Our monthly average offering income this fiscal year was $79,960, compared to our budgeted need of $75,669. On a weekly basis, that's $18,641 that we received compared to our budget of $17,462. So anytime that blue line is higher than the green line, that's what we want. These giving figures are even more impressive when you consider that physical attendance on Sunday services this year was substantially reduced. This means that people kept giving even when watching from home. And as might also be expected, we did see a shift in giving from traditional, like cash and checks, to online giving for most of the year. So the next sheets we'll look at are the 2-pagers that have all these columns. So this provides a summary of our expenses for the fiscal year. And for each category, you can see what we actually spent versus the budget for the fiscal year and the variance relative to that budget. So I just want to touch on a couple of things there. I will first say that looking at this is a little bit squirrely this year because church was so weird this year and a lot of ministries didn't spend much money or we had to spend money in different ways. So it was a little bit hard to compare this. Everything ended up wonderful, but it was a little hard to go line to line. There's just a couple of things I do want to touch on what would be, let's see here. On the first page, near the top, building improvements, you can see we spent $8,100 compared to a budget of $2,000. And Steve Schrage and I put our heads together in a big emergency about 1 minute before we started this meeting and determined that we think that was the build out of Skylar Vowell's office downstairs. So if anyone has any heartburn over that, I'll refer you to Steve. Okay, perfect. The second thing I'll say is on the second page, there's a list of about 10 different pastors. Well, we don't have that many pastors. So here's what happened, as far as I can tell. Our associate pastor of worship and technology is Jason. That's good. Our associate pastor of small groups and spiritual formation is Jeremy. That's good. Our associate pastor of connections and church planting was Jacob, who left to plant Arise. That's accounted for. Then things start getting a little funny. The associate pastor of youth and young adults is Skylar Vowell, but he started the year as a pastoral intern. And we never did hire a new associate pastor of connections and outreach, instead promoting Heather Gain to her new role as communications director. So, what this basically all means is if you combine the associate pastors of youth and young adults, connections and outreach, and pastoral intern, that was all Skylar. And he was on budget for the year. So, overall, we spent $723,000 this year compared to a budget of $817,000. The under budgetness was largely due to lower spending in many areas during the COVID outage. So with that, I will turn this over to Susan for the next couple of parts.
All right. So then looking at the statement of activities for the fiscal year, the general offering was $969,339, and our budgeted income for the year is $908,024. The revenue less expenses due to budgeted activities resulted in an operational gain of $253,365. Our next step savings goal for the fiscal year is 10% of our annual budget, or $90,802, which we surpassed by a wide margin. For our unbudgeted activities, we booked our last building for capital campaign donations from commitments made during our move to this building a few years ago, and received forgiveness of our payroll protection plan loan, which was used for payroll and other allowable expenses. We received an overpayment refund from the title company where we closed on the purchase of Phil's Barbecue, thus the negative expense of $1,230. We also paid property tax on the Phil's property under protest, as the elders are continuing to work with the county to have that parcel deemed for nonprofit use. We've spent $5,446 on building renovations and $104,266 on the launch of Arise. These unbudgeted but anticipated expenses resulted in a reduction to Rooftop's net assets of $41,762. When you combine the results of our budgeted activities and unbudgeted activities, we saw an overall positive change in net assets this year of $211,693. This is still what I want, right? Let's see. So then, in the statement of financial position for the fiscal year, our total cash reserves is $751,667, and our fixed assets total $1.55 million, resulting in total assets of $2.3 million. Our long-term liabilities, consisting only of our building mortgage, total $743,923. So subtracting our liabilities from our assets results in net assets of $1.56 million. Next.
Okay, and I will close with what I like to call our Treasury fun facts. Thank you. I always point out that two of the things I love about Rooftop are that we make the most of our financial resources and we are transparent about the way in which we spend God's money. Here are a few interesting giving and spending statistics. Our monthly average giving this year was $79,960. Last fiscal year was $80,423. This year we received, on average, 417 donations per month from 206 different giving units. The average donation was $193. 47% of our giving this year was in the form of cash and check, 53% was online, and 21% of our giving this year was set up as recurring giving. We received 2 stock shares donations this year, and we averaged 8 first-time donors every month. Historically, this goes back about 10 years, our largest giving month is December, when we receive 11% of our donations for the year. The next highest month is March, when we receive 9%, and February is our slowest giving month at 7.5% of our annual donations. And lastly, I'll talk about spending and specifically the cost to operate the church. So this fiscal year, which obviously was different, we averaged 240 adults in the sanctuary, but it doesn't really make sense to calculate the cost based on 240 since a lot of people were at home watching. So for the purpose of speaking, I'm going to say we averaged 400 adults watching or attending church this year. Our cost per adult to operate Rooftop Church is $151 per month, That's $35 per week. Our building mortgage per adult is $17.64 per month, or $4.07 per week. Our weekly per adult utilities cost is $1.24, of which 70 cents is electricity and 29 cents is gas. It costs us 16 cents per adult per week to clean the church, and we spend 24 cents per adult per week on coffees and refreshments. And rooftops costs us 28 cents per adult per week. And lastly, we spent $7.37 per adult this year on snow removal and landscaping. And with that, we'll take any questions anyone has. Step out of this light so I can see. Yes. Yes, go ahead.
More of a discussion. So when we look on the budget on the last page, your salaries and benefits,
Are you referring to this, the budget we're going to vote on tonight?
either one or both.
Okay, this question may be more appropriate for Mark Camille after the next presentation, if you don't mind. Since he's going to present on the budget, that may be more appropriate for him to handle. Okay. Any other questions about income or expenses this year? I fully expected someone, particularly my wife, to ask the obvious question, so I'll ask it for you. Why is Treasury over budget? I'm a little disappointed no one called me out on that. I don't have a great answer for that.
More bow ties.
I guess what I would say is we have some expenses that don't occur every year, but maybe occur like every 16 months. So I try to budget for them every year. This year they all happened in the same year, and the budget wasn't big enough. So it's my fault. It's my fault pretty much. So what other questions do we have? Heather's got a question way in the back. The paper shredder put me over. Excellent. The paper shredder we had just cut things in strips, but it wouldn't be too hard to tape it back together, so I did buy one that pulverizes the paper. So that was money well spent. Yeah, it says the white collar crime investigator. So, any other questions before we turn it over to the budget manager? Anything? Okay, thank you guys. You've been great. You've been a great audience. All right, thank you.
Good job, Susan.
I always feel woefully underdressed behind him. I really don't feel that bad, I guess.
Top hat? I don't know. Yeah.
Should we do a dance?
Yeah, sure.
No. Anyway, good evening. I'm Mark Camille, and as Matt said, I currently serve as the budget manager for Rooftop. And this is Drew McCune, who's going to be stepping into the role this year, taking my place. Tonight, we get to talk about the very most exciting thing you'll ever hear all year, the budget for the 21-22 fiscal year. As Eric indicated earlier, our budget goes from May 1 until April 30 of the following year. A couple things to spell out before I really dive into what our budget looks like for this coming year. There are a couple things that show up on our budget every year that we just want to spell out. Rooftop is committed to giving back money from what you get, what is donated to us, and so we give away 12% every year in a couple of categories. Missions and organizations, which represents our global outreach giving and accounts for roughly 80% of proposed giving. The Mexico mission trip, where we build numerous houses in Reynosa. This year the last several years we've built 4 houses on 2 trips a year, and that's about 12% of the proposed giving. Service missions, which represents domestic organizations that we give to and accounts for 4% of the proposed giving. And then benevolence, which meets the needs of the financial needs of the community itself, and that accounts for 3% of the proposed giving. Additionally, our budget includes 10% in Next Step savings, which is used to fund future rooftop growth. In the past, these have included acquiring and renovating buildings, including this one, and hiring staff, including hiring Pastor Jacob, who left to plant Arise Church. So let's jump to the punchline. As Matt said, our overall budget for this year is over $1 million, which is a record for us. So that's great news. And that equates to $19,525 per week. And my numbers might not 100% jive with Eric's, but that's a roughly 8% increase over the prior year budget. And we're forecasting income for the year of weekly income of $18,104. So our budget for the coming year is actually only an 8% increase over our current giving levels. Many of the line items requested for the next fiscal year are flat or down year over year, in part because our ministry leaders and our staff are watching expenses where appropriate and finding ways to use Rooftop's resources efficiently. A couple examples are that advertising, we continue to, the last several years we've seen a decrease in budget requests because Heather's finding the most efficient ways to use our money to advertise. And additionally, connections is down again year over year by about 9% as Heather and Jacob before her and the team are working to use find the most cost-effective way to connect people to the life of Rooftop. And then meetings expense continues to decline as well as Heather continues to find good, cheap childcare for us for these meetings. And there's been diversification.
But high quality.
That's why he's coming on and I'm leaving.
That's right. Cheap. Bottom of the barrel.
Bottom of the barrel, right. So, and there's a couple of line items that are down for strategic reasons year over year. Specifically, the children's ministry is down pretty significantly. It's about 40%. Some of which is, a big portion of that is actually related to the way that we're doing DBS this year, which is impacted by COVID and will rebound next year. And also some continued watching the curriculum that's used and how we pay for that. Conversely, a couple of ministries are up pretty significantly year over year, including hospitality, which is up by 25%. Keith Pruitt, who's in charge of that, and has been working to make sure that we're spending money well over time, and he's getting the right balance of things. Events is going to be up this coming year by about 55%, and last year the elders and staff actually requested to not do the Summer Fest because it was right before Arise was supposed to launch. Wouldn't have mattered anyway. We didn't end up having anything that we could do in the summer, but this year we're going to do it, so that'll be great. Youth and young adults is actually up over last year's budget by 100%, and that is largely a function of the great work that Skylar, my bad, Skylar is doing with the youth and young adults ministries. If you ever want to come up and see something exciting, there's always lots of stuff going on up here on Sunday nights and Monday nights. And then the various different worship and production-related ministries are up by about 105% year over year. Including some larger scale events that we have planned and some upgrades to continue to improve the Sunday morning experience both in the room and online. So all told, between the building office expenses, the ministries, giving, and next step savings, our budget is up about $70,000 or 14% year over year increase. The remainder of the increase is in the form of staffing, which Matt has told me he'll be updating a little bit later today. And as always, before I turn this back over, actually open it up for questions, I want to thank the ministry leaders and staff for their help in putting together the budget, the Treasury team for their diligence in putting together quality financial information, and the elders for their leadership. And most importantly, I want to thank you all for your faithful giving throughout the year that makes all the ministry we do possible. So if you have any questions, Drew's going to answer all of them. Or we can also follow up with the elders and staff at a later time. So.
And thank Mark Camille for doing this for many, many, many years.
Any questions?
So payroll.
The question was,
Sure.
So of the payroll for our full-time staff, it says salaries and benefits. How much of that goes towards benefits and what kind of benefits?
So, okay, yep.
Matt's actually going to address that a little bit later, he said.
I'm going to read his mind. No.
But lot of churches, and I don't know if we do or not, I don't remember. They don't do what I personally consider adequate for full-timers for health insurance and retirement. And that's my concern. And I know that some, some church full-timers have their spouses that have benefits, but some don't. I don't mean to put Skylar and Chandler on the spot, but I don't know if Skylar has insurance. If she doesn't, if she gets pregnant, how are they going to pay for that?
Yep.
No, it's a very good question. So if you're online and you couldn't hear Ron's question, what are we doing for our staff members benefits-wise? For 20 years of our history, we've done nothing. As an independent church, we don't have access to denominational programs, which are usually how churches do that. What we do try to do is make up for it in overall pay package so that they have the resources to be able to get it where they need to. And so far, existing staff members have actually done we try to monitor that too. Like, are you getting what you need? And so far, they've been able to access disability, life insurance, health insurance. So that's been our approach this year. And it's actually something that we've wanted to address for a long time. It's just a lot of closed doors. But with an increase in giving for this year, for the first time ever, we're actually able to offer a specific benefit at least. We looked into health insurance options, and they're just too expensive compared to what staff members are currently paying. But as a result of everybody's generosity, for the first time ever, we're able to actually offer a retirement opportunity for full-time staff members, and the church is contributing to that. So that's the first time we're ever able to do that, largely because everybody's been so generous and so faithful with that. So it's a good question, and we want to expand those opportunities too over the years. So
I just didn't want to put you on the spot with that question, man.
oh, I see. Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
I appreciate your answer.
Yeah. No, that's a great question too. Thanks.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Go ahead.
Does Heather have a particular conference that she knows is going to cost $394? And also, why not just across the board, all full-time staff get X amount for conference, continuing ed, et cetera? How is that determined?
So there's a discussion about what the needs are, what the upcoming conferences are going to be, and basing that. Some of it is the elder team making expectations for how much they want the staff to go to these various things. I don't remember the particular.
Heather actually does have a very specific thing. It's an online thing. It's a monthly fee, and that's her exact fee. So that does foot dollar for dollar with what she's expecting to spend. And to Drew's point, the staff actually asks for specific money for conferences and whether they're going to go or not. I have actually never seen the elders say, no, we're not going to fund that amount that's requested. So all of them have the right to ask for continuing education conference, and they just choose to or not to. And typically speaking, in the 7 years I've been doing this, it's been approved. Question in the back.
Yeah, I see the line for the men's ministry. Where is the women's ministry?
Well, that's hidden. There is a women's ministry budget.
Not intentional. You're just as important.
That was an oversight. Actually, to that point, we didn't actually have a women's ministry budget last year, and we do actually have money allocated for it this year. I think it was $1,000, something like that. And same thing. So the men's ministry is also growing too. I apologize. That is a complete mistake on my part. I just hit a row within my Excel.
15 different people reviewed this document.
So it's just a hidden row within Excel. I promise you that there is a budget for women's ministry.
Steve did review it.
Oh, let's see.
He's not. What?
things are going great.
Yeah, fabulous. I'm doing great. That's why I'm leaving. Yeah.
See any line in there for an external auditor? Is there anyone that audits the books? And if so, why or why not?
An auditor. So our treasury team is subject to oversight by the finance committee and the elders, and we've worked in the past couple years at having better controls over collection time, just making sure there's another set of eyeballs about, just the bags being collected and making sure that there's accountability that way. But if there's a concern specific that I might be able to, I don't know how to, yeah.
Maybe it's referring to most organizations do have audits that happen. Sometimes they're internal audits for the way you process. I've done this before, where you process how things are handled, like just like how do you handle the process of collecting offering
Sure.
bags and moving through that. And then there's the financial audit that sometimes churches and other organizations do every 3 to 5 years, just to make sure that all of their books and all of their records line up accordingly.
Sure.
So that may be what is being referred to.
And typically what I've seen on most boards or most nonprofits, they do the audit, like my wife says, every 3 years, not every 5, and they usually budget for them, and usually external audits.
Mhm.
And then as far as the offering, those type of audits, actually she's had more experience with that than I have.
So I know the treasury team, for what it's worth, we've never actually considered that, at least not in the last 10 years. We've never considered doing an audit, whether an external audit, paying to have that done, in part because, to Drew's point earlier, we do have a lot of checks and balances between things. The budget's put together by a team that's completely independent from the treasury and finance team, and there's a lot of back and forth that goes in between there. So there are a lot of checks and balances. Throw on top of that, over the last, each of the treasurers that has been a part of Rooftop's finance team has, over time, done things to gradually improve the processes that we've put in place. And as Eric mentioned, he watches white-collar crime for a living, so he has been super diligent about that over the last several years. And I know he's had people on his team questioning things and bringing things to the forefront, asking the elders about if this is something that we can do to improve the process. So to the question of do we have anybody external looking at it? No, we don't have anybody external looking at it, but we definitely have a lot of good checks and balances going on internally, in my opinion. Still going fabulously.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Seems to be a rather large difference between the building improvements for the upcoming versus the previous fiscal year. Is there anything you can say about proposals, projects, anything on that?
So that was. Yeah, so there is, the elder team decided that over the next 2 years, they're going to work on replacing some of the windows that are original to the building, getting those, some of them leak. They're all inefficient, and just working piecemeal to get those, up to standards, be a better steward of the resources we have, so.
I should have mentioned that one.
That's right. Yeah.
Is it appropriate to vote on this if we don't actually have one budget in there?
It's included in the number. It's included in the grand total. It's just, like I said, it's just a hidden row within Excel.
So it's in the number?
It's in the number. It is 100%.
A yes
included
vote
in
is
the
a yes for women.
I really just thought that the men's budget line is a misprint. It was supposed to be women's.
No, the men's is supposed to be there too. That's it. Oh, what does anybody know the mascot of Oral Roberts? Because I've been told I have a degree from there, so I don't know. There's squirrels? I don't know. Okay, there you go.
Thank you, Drew and Mark. So, a couple quick comments before we move on to some other updates. As you can tell, and as they talked about, our giving is up which is surprising given COVID, but that's largely explained by a few factors. More people are moving their giving online, which has the potential to be more regular. More people have stimulus checks, more money to give. But I also believe that people want to give to growing healthy churches. And I think the Rooftop is a growing healthy church. And so the elders have seen your generosity and sacrifice and are excited to accept that and also challenge you to continue. So if we maintain our current giving levels, we'll actually not reach the new $1 million budget total, but we believe that we certainly have the potential to do that. So we're challenging you to continue doing what you're already doing. To benefit the kingdom. I mean, with a larger budget, we're not just, feeling good about ourselves, but we're giving significantly more money to missions, significantly more money to the poor and to benevolence. We're able to get to some of the deferred maintenance around here that we need to get to eventually. So we're having a relatively good season. So now's the time to replace the windows and stuff like that. And like I said, we're finally able to get to some retirement plans for pastors who are slowly approaching retirement. Not anytime soon, but this is the time of your life where you start thinking about those things. So thank you for your ongoing support. Okay, so we're going to vote now for the budget. If you are a member of the voting roster, go ahead and grab a pen in the seat back in front of you, and on that first page, circle yes or no or abstain. And I'll give you a moment to do that, and then tear across the dotted line and hold it up. And Heather and Anna and any available staff member, maybe including Skylar, will come grab them from you. It's the funniest vote experience I've ever. All right. I've got mine here. Ha 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 ha. All right. So we got a few more things to do. Hopefully we'll get you out sometime between 8:15. I do want to give you an update on important things going on here at Rooftop because it's your church, so we want you to know. So I have 3 quick updates for you, and then we've got a special treat for you. I'm going to invite some Rooftop leaders and deacons to come up and tell you what's going on in their ministries, because even though it's been an interesting COVID-19 year, there's still a lot of great things going on here at Rooftop that we want to celebrate and pray for. So three brief church updates. First, a little bit of a COVID update, speaking of. Secondly, an Arise update, because we still want them to succeed. And then thirdly, a staffing update. Starting with COVID. We continue to dance our way through the pandemic. As I explained to you last fall, to the 19 or 20 of you that were here for the State of the Roof meeting last fall, leading a church during a pandemic has been the greatest pastoral challenge I've ever experienced, and I think the staff would say the same. Leading Rooftop through this. Partly it's because who Rooftop is, because of our political and theological diversity here at Rooftop, which I'm very proud of, that results in a community filled with lots of different opinions about how we need to handle this. But while difficult, I'm actually exceedingly proud of the way our congregation has continued to thrive during the season. We've been able to thread a lot of different needles together for a very long time. We've been able to balance a lot of different factors fairly well. We have mitigated the risk of spreading COVID. We've submitted to our governing authorities, which we believe the Bible tells us to do. We've been able to live in fellowship and unity with each other for the most part. We've been able to serve our neighbors with COVID-related ministries. And while our shutdown last spring was lamentable, we actually took it as an opportunity to build a thriving online presence, which the Lord has used to reach out to the world through the ministry of Rooftop. We've even been able to attract an awful lot of visitors because people can tell, well, it's a pandemic, but Rooftop is still thriving and we want to come. So while a lot of churches are struggling to come back or haven't even come back at all, we're actually attracting a lot of visitors. Our visitor ratio is very high. So we're really grateful for this challenging season that the Lord has given us, and I'm proud of you for supporting us through all this. So give yourselves a round of applause for COVID response. Experts tell us we're not out of the woods yet, though, so we're continuing to post the mask requirement and require volunteers to wear them. We also continue to do our best to broadcast our services online because we do know a lot of people are still stuck at home, and we want to make space available for people who are more COVID conscious. So if you're looking for the most amount of space to feel comfortable here at Rooftop, the 8 o'clock service has plenty for you. So that's our COVID update. If you have any questions, you can hold on to them, and you can ask them at the end. Secondly, give you a little bit of an Arise update. One of the things we did do, which was crazy during a pandemic, is we launched a church. That's crazy. And it's going well. So I asked pastors Skylar, sorry, he keeps getting misplaced. Pastor Jacob and Kelsey, how Arise is doing. We planted Arise last summer. They continue to meet out in Fenton in their rented space, and Jacob sent me a few talking points. So their average in-person attendance at Arise is 120 people every Sunday. Very strong online contingent. Again, a reminder, that's during a pandemic. They have added effectively 50 new Arise members on top of the 80 that they started with in their launch team. 14 people have made decisions to follow Jesus or recommit to Jesus. 3 baptisms, 14 more people in the baptism pipeline. They are renovating their worship space to make more room for more people. I don't know if you've been out there and visited, which they would love to have you visit now, but their worship space is actually relatively small, so they're making some renovations to expand it. They're also planning on using that space as a coffee shop during the evenings and on the weekends and during some of the weekdays, so they're excited about that. They have hired their first intern, a guy named Chris Sutton, who's working out really well. They've got some exciting summer events planned. They do have a few prayer requests, though. They are not quite done with renovations, and they want to wrap those up soon so that they can have their space back. And secondly, Jacob also does request ongoing prayers for his health. He's had a couple health situations last January and February. He had some heart problems, had some back problems. These were pre-existing, but church planting is exhausting. Physically, emotionally, so that didn't help. Just so you know, though, we were pleased to help them through the season. He had to take a month off, and Jeremy, Skylar, myself, Jason, we all went out there to help with worship and teaching. So we continue to help them, and they continue to help us, and we're looking forward to working together in the years ahead. So that I don't just tell you how to pray for them and then skip on without praying for them, let's go ahead and take a moment to pray for Arise. Father, we are grateful that even during this pandemic, we've been able to be obedient to you and fulfilling the Great Commission, going into the world to make followers of Christ. Fenton is certainly the world, so we're grateful for what you're doing out there through Jacob and Kelsey and all of the crew. We hope that you continue to bless them as you've blessed us. We hope that we can continue to work together to share the light of Christ to the city that you love. We do pray for Jacob and his health. We know that he continues to be in pain, watching his schedule so that he can continue to serve in a healthy way for a long time. So heal him, give him strength. Pray these things in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, and in the power of your Holy Spirit. Amen. Thirdly, give you a little bit of a staffing update. We announced last February that Pastor Jeremy will be leaving us sometime this year to pursue other job opportunities. He's not here tonight, by the way. He is at a debate tournament with his team. He has decided his last day will actually be on June 30th. So he has a new business opportunity that he and Julie are excited to start this summer. Depending on the Lord's leading, you actually might see them around here at Rooftop. We are their church home, their church family, and their kids are super involved in the youth ministry, so they don't have any immediate plans to leave, although, they will, of course, follow the Lord as he directs them, so you might see them around. We do still, though, even though we might see them around, we still do want to thank them for their service and for their ministry here at Rooftop, so we're planning a big goodbye luncheon on June 20th after the third service. So mark your calendars because we could really use your help in saying goodbye to Jeremy, at least in his position, on June 20th. Just let us know if you're available and we will put you to work. Jeremy's departure does raise the matter of his replacement, though. We have already begun our search for Jeremy's replacement in anticipation of his departure. We opened up the search at least a couple weeks ago. We've actually already conducted a couple preliminary interviews. The position that we are hiring for or looking for here is a pastor of small groups and connections. So those are the two big, we got lots of things that we could staff around here at Rooftop, but those are the two things we really need to staff immediately and staff well. We want someone to grow, manage, develop our small group ministry. Small groups we are still committed to this. The meat and potatoes of Rooftop is the best way to grow as a follower of Christ in community, regular community, teaching, prayer, fellowship. So we want someone to build and grow that ministry. And then we need someone to supervise and shepherd the connections process or the assimilation process, depending on what sort of church tradition you grew up in, or if you're fans of Star Trek or not. The process so Heather Gain is our director of communications. She gets people here, and she's doing a great job getting people here, but we need a director of connections to help visitors go up the building, as we say, through the first floor, second floor, third floor, fourth floor. Come, connect, contribute, commit, thank you. Yeah. We need someone sort of overseeing that process. Right now, we're doing it by committee. We're connecting by committee. Heather Gain is supervising the process administratively, but Jacob did such a great job supervising this, shepherding it, meeting with people, helping them up the building, hand-holding them, and we need someone to do that as well. If you know of anybody who might be interested in this position, we are happy to tell them more about it. Just send them to rooftop.org/jobs. We have our own jobs page. Right. That's right. Because we have a budget of more than $1 million. So while that is going on, we are also committed to or interested in hiring more church interns. We've had success with interns over the years. We love working with interns. I actually think Rooftop is a great church for an intern to work at. I personally love working with young people to help them develop their gifts and hone their sense of calling. So we're looking for interns as well as an additional pastor. We're open to any kind of intern too. So you can tell this to anybody who might be interested. Preaching interns, youth interns, if you find an education intern, children's ministry intern, we might be interested. Worship, tech, service, ministry. We just like helping people grow in their ability to use their gifts for the kingdom. So you can also find that information at rooftop.org/jobs. I think that's that. So if you have any questions about that, we'll hold on to them and you can ask them during the Q&A at the end of the meeting. So now I want to give you some ministry updates because like I said, it's been an interesting year, kind of sluggish in some sense, but we've tried not to let the situation slow us down. We've tried to take advantage of these opportunities. A lot of our ministries, we do have, if you look at the budget, we have a long list of ministries. Some of them are listed, some of them aren't. So we have a lot of ministries here. Some of them have had to shut down just because of COVID-related circumstances. Some of them are trying to come back. Some of them haven't quite come back yet. But some of them, we've had new ministries kind of pop up, and some of them are really thriving and growing. So I want to introduce you to a few of our ministry leaders. You probably know most of them. so that you have the chance to hear what's going on in their ministries and celebrate the good stuff that's actually happening in those ministries, and also pray for them as well and interact with them if you have any questions. So among we have like 55 deacons, so I could have brought any number of deacons up here, but I've chosen Aaron Schragi, who leads our Rooftops Kids Ministry, Skylar Vowell, who leads our Young Adult Youth Group Ministries, Tenley Dame and Robert Villagram, two of our small group leaders. They are leading small groups about race, learning groups on race that we're excited to that you can hear about. And then Denise Koch, who is the new leader of our prayer team. So would you welcome them to the stage? They're still not here in their chairs, so you have to keep clapping. Hey guys, how you doing? Are your mics on? Why don't you test it?
Hello.
No. Is it on?
Yes.
Okay. You nervous? It's a big night. Oh yeah. Yeah. Skylar gets really nervous in front of large crowds. You can do all right.
Yeah,
do all right.
This is really hard for me right now.
Is your mic on?
I think so.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. It's not very loud. You might have to use your Pentecostal voice. Yeah.
I'll start yelling.
Yeah, do it. All right, so I got a few questions for each of you. For people who don't know, let's start at the end and work our way here. For people who don't know anything about, yeah, pointing to you.
Yes.
For people who don't know anything about your ministries, give us an introduction. What is your ministry all about? Why do you exist? What do you do?
Cool. So my name is Skylar Vowell. I'm the pastor of youth and young adults here at Rooftop Church. Yeah, you can clap for that. It has been just an absolute pleasure being here. I started as the pastoral intern January of 2020. And then June of 2020, I started full-time. So my job started immediately in a pandemic, which was pretty difficult. But if you're new to Rooftop and you don't know a whole lot about our ministries, our youth ministries for ages 6th grade to 12th grade, and it's just been an absolute pleasure getting to teach these students about Jesus week in and week out. And we try to do that in fun, engaging ways. We've got some great games. We've got a youth worship team, which is completely comprised of students. Anna Schragi right here, she's a staple on our worship team. And it's so cool. I think I cry every single Sunday.
You cry?
Every week, sitting there front row as these students are worshiping Jesus. They're not performing. They're not doing a gig. I mean, they are worshiping Jesus, and it is so beautiful to see that. And it's students. It's amazing. And we're seeing students saved and accepting Jesus. We had 5 or 6 baptisms in February, and we've got more coming. We've got 2 already signed up for the next one we're doing in May, baptism, so that's been really, really incredible. So again, we're teaching Jesus, but we're trying to do it in fun, engaging ways. We've seen huge growth in our youth ministry, so that's been awesome. Young adults, that's been really great as well. We've started doing, we have a community group is what we're calling it. Is that feedback, or is it just me?
I'm whistling.
Oh, okay, gosh. And we do a community group. We do a community group on Monday nights, and it started out 6 of us in mine and my beautiful wife's apartment. And then now we average about 30 to 32. We've got a couple people who are part of that group here tonight. It's just been amazing. Just students, young people. Yeah. Statistically, the most unchurched demographic of people in the history of our country, 18 to 30, and we've got 30 showing up through a Bible study. We're going through Galatians, talking about circumcision, and we've got 30-something young people showing up for that. And then once a month, we do a worship night in here, and the most that we've had was 52 at that, which is pretty incredible. So both ministries, God has just absolutely blessed. That's dope. That's right. Who said that? Yeah.
Hold on one second, Rod.
No, I gotta say this. I want to know why only the women laughed when you talked about circumcision.
Yeah. It's a very important question. Thank you for interrupting. Yeah. Yeah. No. So, given the state of your ministry, how has COVID impacted your year?
Initially, it was a little bit concerning, just because youth ministry is, games and like running into each other and lots of physical contact. and sweat and just, it's really loud and engaging. And so trying to create a fun, engaging atmosphere that also was safe for students was a bit of a challenge, but with the things that we already had in place, such as the distancing in the chairs, the setup of the room, instead of games that required everybody getting up and running around, we did a lot of games up front on the stage, did one-on-one games and let them compete and just kind of have fun that way. As the weather's gotten nicer, we've been able to move outside for games and things like that. D groups, what we did for D groups was we split each age group into 2 different groups. So there would be like 2 middle school boys groups, 2 middle school girls groups. Same thing with high school for the guys and the girls. One would be mask required, and then one was mask encouraged, just so that we weren't isolating certain people, and just so we were welcoming to all people as well. So we made a couple adjustments, but we made it through it.
What's coming up on the horizon for you?
Oh man, so much.
I bet.
Absolutely. I really believe, I had a great conversation right before I took this job with a guy who's in youth ministry, and he said the wave starts in the student section. The wave starts in the student section. So what that means is it's a great way to build some excitement, build some momentum in the church, which I see continuing. I see, we're averaging about 50 students now. And not blowing smoke, I definitely think within the next few years, I think we could pack this out and have 200, 300 students.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get excited about that. Come on. Come on. I mean, we're seeing 50 to 60 students during COVID.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, imagine when all of that's over and we're able to congregate again and get back together.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We've got such an amazing youth ministry here that we're going to draw people from all over the city. Absolutely.
Yeah. Skylar Val, ladies and gentlemen. Quick final question. Any volunteers that you want to give a shout out to right now?
Yes.
I thought maybe 1 or 2.
No. I'm going to read the list. Absolutely. So the reason that these ministries have grown, so you should have. Your email was not specific how many you could. So our ministry has grown so much, obviously by the grace of God, and then second, it has nothing to do with me, and it has everything to do with our leaders. So I'm going to read them off. First and foremost, I want to thank my wife for putting up with me and helping out a lot with this ministry. Then we've got Anna Clark, Anna King, Ben Mueller, Kelsey Lyons, Dante, Ed Bielik, Flint Burchett, Holly Bowers, Josephine Rohrbacher, Kelly Hendrick, Lori Hendrick, Lindy Hansen, Marcos Buznego, Mike Alexander, Nathan Young, Olivia Grawl.
Page 2.
There's a backside. Riley Grummett, Shane Hopkins, and Tiffany Mono. So can we give them a round of applause?
Thank you, Skylar. So Denise, I know that's an intimidating act to follow. Denise is a new leader of our prayer team, and they are, even in the short time, we'll let her talk in a second, but even in the short time she's been in that position, they've actually been able to do some exciting and successful things. But one of the reasons I want to get her up here is to celebrate her new role here. So Denise, tell us about the prayer ministry. What is it all about? Why do you exist? What do you do? How do you do it?
Yeah, I have to follow you. So we exist to pray. No.
That should be enough, right?
Yeah, I'm done. No. We exist to basically intercede for others. We come together to pray for those that have presented requests to us that are in need. To pray for the sick. Basically, we're pouring our hearts to God and just trusting Him that His will be done with whatever we're coming to present to Him. And it's just this group of people that just in their prayers are united together. And just really, we're just in repentance and just coming to God and letting Him know, we need you. People will present requests to us through the blue cards that we get during the service or online requests, and anyone that has a prayer, it is getting prayed for, and it's nothing that we stop praying for. If it's a need that's ongoing for healing, we're trusting God, and we continue to lift those up in prayer. Other than just, presenting requests to God, we we spend time praising God and thanking Him, just for life and breath, and to know that whatever we need, He's there for us.
What are the details? So how often do you meet, and when and where?
So we are meeting on Wednesdays from 5:30 to 6:30. Sometimes it goes a little bit longer.
PM?
Yes. Now, I would love to meet that early, but I don't know if everyone else would. So obviously I'm new to the prayer team. I think I started in February.
Sure.
That sounds right. So when I joined, I don't know if anyone was actually physically in person because of COVID. It's probably your next question. But,
Go ahead.
So we're kind of doing like a hybrid style of Zoom and then in person for those who can come. So I am coming here at Rooftop on Wednesdays if anyone wants to join in prayer. There's members of our prayer team that aren't comfortable yet coming in person and praying, so I wanted to be able to have everyone still join together. So we have that Zoom option too.
So it's here Wednesdays, 5:30 to
Yes.
6:30. Okay. Did you say every week or every other week?
Every week.
Every week. Okay, great. So you had a big successful event recently. I didn't tell you I was going to ask you about this, but
No, you did not.
go ahead. What big thing went so well last month?
Yes, there is an event called Pray for the Lou, which I actually recently learned about, where churches from all over of St. Louis and St. Charles and Jefferson County would all join together and do a prayer walk all at the same time on the same day. So we joined in with the Pray for the Lou and had a prayer walk here at Rooftop, and it was a good turnout.
Yeah.
There was some small groups that wanted to join in and pray together and walk. I set up some different routes, prayer routes around the neighborhoods, and we went into groups and did some prayer walking around the neighborhood. Got to meet some different neighbors and actually learn some needs of people that are just right around the streets here. So we were able to even pray with some of the neighbors.
Yeah.
I thought it turned out great.
What I took away from that personally is that there's a lot of people here at Rooftop who actually want to pray, that people like to pray, but we just needed a leader to organize the effort. So, Denise Koch, what's coming up that you want to let us know about? Anything?
Let's see. Next week is the National Day of Prayer on May 6th, which is a Thursday. So if you're interested, this was kind of a last-minute event. So if you're interested in coming to pray for our nation and leaders and just join everyone around the country to pray on the same day, we'd love to have you on Thursday, May 6th.
Cool.
I hope to have some more prayer walks in the future, and then maybe join in with Jason and do some type of prayer and worship event. Would be really neat. Different prayer services. I have some other ideas that I'm going to talk to Matt about.
Do you have one, maybe two volunteers you want to give a shout out to?
I don't have a long list like you, but I just want to give a shout out to all the current prayer team members. Sure. It's a small group, but it's a small, faithful, mighty group. Really the first person that I reached out to, that I connected with, who kind of plugged me into the group, was Cindy Mills. So I wanted to say thank you to her. And I wanted to just do a shout out for Cindy Teigen, Salida Bender, Julie Beller, Rebecca Toller, Kelly Hendricks are the main prayer team warriors. We have a couple new people that joined us, but those
Cool.
are the faithful prayer warriors that continue on.
Awesome. All right, Aaron Schrage, our longest serving ministry leader. 19 years?
How old's Max?
19, yeah.
Your sweet wife was doing it before Max was born.
Yes, 19 years of discipling your children. So seems like an obvious basic question, but maybe it's not. What is Rooftops all about? What do you do?
Well, our mission as ministry is to make followers of Christ who make followers of Christ who make followers of Christ. This is the church mission, and it's perfect. So we provide care and love for parents as they're attending worship, and for our littles, and then for everybody else, we start discipling them as early as possible. And, we really have a passion for helping families learn to disciple their kids at home.
So right now, what's happening in the rooftops wing on Sunday morning?
Every Sunday morning, there are classes at all the services. Woo!
That's quite an accomplishment, given where we were.
Well,
So,
yeah.
tell everybody, give them the COVID story. How did COVID impact you guys, and how are you coming back from it?
Well, the church shut down, and so then that meant that we couldn't have classes because, it was locked. But we would have. We love our kids. So after we were at about 125 kids before the shutdown, and then as we started to come back, we started back with about 12, which was just heartbreaking. Still. So we are slowly gaining ground and adding classes and opportunities, and we're up to a little over 30, probably 38 is what we're averaging now. So we have a nursery class first service, and then we have classes all the way through birth through fifth grade at second and third, and we're just excited about bringing back more classes, and we have our eye on the next 2 additions. We want a big kid class during first service and a preschool class during second service, so we keep continuing and adding, and we hope if we build it, they will come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for complicated reasons, the parents seem reluctant to bring their kids back to kids' classes. Is there anything, like I said, for complicated reasons, is there anything you want to say, though, to parents in order to see their kids again?
I miss them. I love teaching your kids about Jesus. My team misses them. And it's just genuine joy when we see new families coming and bringing their kids and we talk about them. When you're not, we're so excited to have, new families and new kids. And, we haven't seen them in such a long time. So we genuinely have just such a heart for teaching your kids about Jesus and want to love on them and see them. And for the record, we've had 0 quarantines that have happened through kids ministry, be it Sunday morning. We tried a ministry that went great. We had 10 kids at Rooftops Pods, so we tried a new format to welcome some kids back, and we got some families that hadn't been coming, got to come to Rooftops Pods earlier this year. And then also, just so you know, we're having in-person VBS this summer, and we're super thrilled about it. And for those that have not heard, we are actually offering 2 VBS opportunities under this roof at the same time. So we are going to have a mask strictly enforced opportunity where you have an entrance in the lobby, you come in, all the kids and all the volunteers and all the pods are having a strictly enforced mask, and then downstairs, if you are a mask encouraged type of person, you can come through the ramp door, and people who can choose how they want their kids to do it downstairs. So we're super excited and can't wait for that.
Yeah, we're excited. We've been recording, the staff has been recording some video segments for VBS curriculum, and it's going to be a top-notch VBS experience. So is there one volunteer that you want to just... Is that just an impossible question?
Yeah, I'll pick one volunteer. Okay, so first, I have every Rooftops volunteer who is serving they're the best. So if you would like to join our team, know that automatically puts you in a category of amazing. But our folks, they give everything every week. They do all they can. And when there's a request, like, I can help you out, I can cover for you, and we get to visit and get to know kids and get to know each other, and it's a blessing every week. And then I also have my VBS team. So we have been recording video VBS because this is, of course, different. But we had Julie Fox come. She has a brand new infant in her care, brand new adopted, and Mike is so cute. And she left him at home so she could come film VBS segments for you. And we have Jessica Del May, who's just amazing and works harder than I do. And we have Stephanie Villagram, who wrote her segments because we wanted to have something special, and came up and filmed those. And who else was here? Oh, Skylar, oh my goodness, was so funny. And Ariel Stevens, and I can't wait to see their skits they recorded every day. And our staff was amazing, and Jason worked so hard. And Heather, Oh, and Geraldine did crafts, and she recorded her entire crafts in an hour. So, thank you. Woohoo!
Geraldine, the sinless model of efficiency. All right. Great job, Aaron. Thanks. So Tenley and Robert have been leading a couple small groups this past year that I'm excited about and wanted you to hear about. So Tenley, tell us about your small group.
So I'm leading a small group that we're calling a learning group on race. It is a group for white folks to learn about issues of race because for many of us, we've not learned about that before. And so we started last fall, and so we've been going for a couple semesters now and have built a really great community where we not only read content, but we also respond to things that are happening in the news and just sort of process that through the lens of race.
Where did this group come from?
Great question. So when the shooting of George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery happened last year, I was really distressed by that and was particularly distressed that at our church we didn't say anything about it. So I requested to talk to the elders, and we had a great conversation, and out of that conversation came this opportunity to lead a group of folks just learning about this. So I really appreciate their leadership and feedback and trust in me to lead this group. To be honest, I'm still learning, so it's not like I figured this out.
It's a learning group on race, though. I mean,
yes.
You can't stop learning in a learning group.
Correct. And I don't have it all figured out, right? So I'm learning alongside everyone in the group, which I think has been a really valuable model for us.
I just want to, I've highlighted this before, but I want to highlight it again because it makes me so proud. I mean, and so frustrated when it doesn't happen. But Tenley saw something at Rooftop that made her sad and upset, and she didn't go and complain to her friends or stop coming. She came and communicated with the leaders and the elders, and we brainstormed ways to make it better, and then she took responsibility there. That's how this should work, right? If you get frustrated at church, something's not working for you, you decide to be part of the solution. So how did COVID impact what you guys are doing?
We started in the middle of COVID,
Okay, right.
so we just went
All
with
you've known is COVID.
Yeah, we kind of we started meeting in person just like for 1 or 2 meetings and then decided we wanted to just go fully virtual, and that's worked really well for us.
What's coming up for you, and what's the future look like?
So I
Tenley.
think Robert and I are going to tag team on this.
Can we go a little off script here, Matt, because we're kind of a package deal. So
Absolutely
that answer to that question might make more sense.
Go
after
ahead. Robert Villagram is leading.
So
us on.
I'm Robert, everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. So when Tenley started this group, I became very interested in the work that she was doing, and Tenley and I have known each other 16 years now, 15 years, something like that. It's a long time. We've done multiple mission trips together to Mexico, and so I reached out and just wanted to learn a little bit more, and she was talking about the goals for her group, and as she said, her group was primarily for white people, but the goal was to have this really rich, diverse group of rooftoppers, Christians come together and tackle some of these tough issues. And so it got me to thinking about, well, when you want to talk about these issues, it's great to invite people of color to the table. And identifying as a person of color, I was thinking that I might be able to be a part of this work because when you are a predominantly group of white people and you want to talk about these things and you want to hear from people of color, it can be very intimidating for a person of color to join the table. And so what I offered to do was kind of run a parallel group, primarily for people of color, so that we could build a safe space, build some trust, build some relationships, have our own conversations about our own experiences, and with the intent of joining Tenley's group, so that we would be on these parallel paths with the intent of joining, which we have done right now.
Mm-hmm.
So,
how's it going?
It's going very well. We started in late October. We got a little bit of a delayed start as we were working out some of the details. And people have been very pleased with the opportunity. People have been very pleased with the content and just the opportunity to come together and share stories and share experiences. People in my group have been very encouraged that there's a group like Tenley's here that are excited and interested to have these conversations and be part of be part of the solution, be part of a better future for everyone, and so that part has been really great. And we were not impacted by COVID.
Okay.
If you want to mark that down. But as far
and
as
you don't have any volunteers that you want to give shout outs to.
But as far as next steps,
yep.
I can start off by saying that, Tenley's going to kind of go over a proposed timeline. I am really interested in getting more of our people of color here at Rooftop in the group to build more relationships and more connections through our work and through our discussions.
I love that.
You're still holding the mic to your face.
I do have more to say.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah.
So our goal with this group has never been to be a closed group. So it wasn't like, oh, we started with these people. These are the only ones who get to learn. So our plan is this summer to have kind of an on-ramp for folks who would be interested in joining the conversation, especially white folks who maybe you're just starting your learning journey, or maybe you've been in it and you didn't know this group was existing. I do think it's important to have kind of an onboarding process. You can't just kind of jump into the conversation because there are some things that as a group we have learned together, and so we would never want someone to join and feel like they were out of the loop. So the plan is this summer to offer that kind of on-ramp process with the goal of in the fall having everybody be able to meet together. We will continue to have separate spaces for people of color and for white folks to continue to do some kind of separate meeting and then also coming together. So it's kind of like this weaving and coming apart process, and that really is to provide safe spaces for everybody. We know that when you have these conversations, it can get really difficult, and sometimes you do need to kind of separate into your separate groups to be able to process things and then be able to come back together to continue the conversation. So this is really a supported model. There are other Christian organizations doing it this way, and so we're sort of taking our cues from that model and being able to continue with this that way.
So I will say also, I feel very burdened as a pastor these days to help Rooftop be part of the solution when it comes to racial division. And I've enjoyed having Tenley and Robert, who have a real posture of humility and certainly more expertise than I do. And the elders have themselves had conversations about what we can do to be part of the solution here. And we've brought them into some elder meetings to get their feedback on some of our next steps. So they're a real resource for your elder team at knowing what's next for us on this front. And we don't really know. That's sort of all collectively confused about what Rooftop can do to be part of the solution here. But we want to do something at the right time and in the right way. So, any questions for any of the leaders or ministries that have shared with you tonight? I think they all did a great job. Do you have any questions for them? Yep. Thanks, guys. Appreciate your ministries. God bless you. So I apologize that we're running a little bit late. Who would have thought? 20 years of Stay of the Roof meetings, and this is the first time we've ever gone over. Possible to comprehend. But our final segment for the night, I do want to invite the elders up here on stage, because we do like to avail ourselves to you to answer whatever questions you might have. The elders, just as a reminder, that group of guys that are elected by the voting roster in the fall to provide organizational and spiritual oversight to the church. We meet regularly for prayer for one another, for the church, and we're always available for you in whatever way we can be, and we are happy to answer whatever questions you might have, and everybody has a microphone. So do you have any questions for us about anything we've talked about tonight or anything at all? I think that's Greg's silhouette.
Yes.
Okay.
Electricity looks like it's the highest cost. Has anyone thought about
I don't know if anybody's thought of adding solar. No.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, this is why we do this. Yeah, we'll make a note. You're going to see panels up this Sunday. Or wind turbines.
Solar's fine. We actually have a solar program at BSI. I do the facilities, and we have those panels. So I will
Paul
check
Mueller will be leading this effort.
with my contact. We'll get it going. Greg, you and me go up there and put those up.
Steve Schrage.
Programs first came out, I looked into it for other nonprofits, and the disadvantage of a tax-exempt organization is that they can't take advantage of the tax credits that BSI can take advantage of.
Oh, okay.
Some of those programs may have changed.
Okay, so you did actually look into that.
Not specifically for rooftop, but nonprofit entities.
Okay, so Steve's pointing out nonprofit entities can't actually take advantage of the tax advantages.
There's no incentive for them. They're bearing the cost of the improvements without any benefit.
Right.
The cost to install them, but not necessarily. You could still gain the benefit of the energy cost, but it might not be as much as.
The payback is a lot longer.
Understood.
We did recently replace all our light bulbs with LED light bulbs.
Woo!
Sorry. Any other questions? Finley.
So since we are a discipleship-focused church, yes, making disciples of Christ, I'm curious to know for the elders, do you have anything in the works in terms of discipling future elders?
We've talked about, well, Blake, I've not talked enough. Blake Aarons, ladies and gentlemen.
This is an issue that comes up often.
Can you repeat the question for everybody?
Oh, the question was, do the elders have any sort of discipling of future elders, or I don't know, I'm going to paraphrase here, but like elder development sort of track? We're actually watching what Arise does rather closely. So Arise started off with an elder pipeline, and so there's nothing that we can't learn from our kids, right? Sometimes we learn from our kids. So we're going to see how that goes. We've had fits and starts of attempting to do different things and have just not found anything specific along those lines. Now, each of the elders in their small groups, in the various environments that we're in, attempt to enter into discipling relationships. But in terms of having a specific program, I think the last time we had something official was at the old building.
I actually think it's really important. I mean, I don't want to downgrade the importance of personal relationships. So in my small group, I got cut off.
Turn Paul's wrong, so we cut him
Wow,
off.
sorry, Lord. So in my
that was Jason.
So in my small group, I try to maintain close relationships with everyone with an eye towards who I can disciple one-on-one towards that. So I think that's an important thing, and I think the relationships that we have personally one-on-one are very important, but not to slight the fact that I think programs are good as well, but I think we can do them in tandem. Does that make sense? We don't have anything official, but I would say that it is happening through the relationships that we try to maintain through people, those of us that we've identified that we want to foster and disciple personally one-on-one. Is that
the advantage of having something more official? Now we're just having a meeting up here on stage.
We're going to be here till 11 again?
Yeah, the advantage of having something more official is that as Rooftop grows, our circles are only so limited, and how do we identify people that we actually might not know who might be potential future elders? So something more organized might actually avail itself to that a little bit better. Great question, Tenley. Any others?
Oh, Cindy, I felt like she was going to ask a question.
Are there any plans for Matt to take a sabbatical?
I feel like
yes.
Yes?
One day
what are
you will
they?
take a sabbatical.
Yes, we allow staff members to take sabbaticals every 5 years. I took one in 2005.
It's going great.
It's
Cindy, so, in all seriousness, we looked at this at the retreat. Cindy has been faithful in asking us to look at this because pastoral care is part of our duty as a team. And as we've talked about, Jeremy leaving, not having a new staff member yet, there are some logistical challenges, but it's certainly on our forefront and something we talk about regularly to when will be a good time for Matt to do that. Because I think everybody up here, Matt to a maybe lesser degree, agrees that a sabbatical is needed.
We're going to get somebody hired, trained, and then we're going to kick Matt out. Do you support that?
Pretty much. Mark it down.
So ideally, 2022.
He can come back.
I've got my secret ways inside the church.
We're probably just going to tell Michelle and let her handle it. I don't think that'll be a problem.
We have a list of things we want to do in the next few years, and Matt's sabbatical is actually on that list. So it's typed on a document somewhere. If that's progress, actually. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much for being here tonight. It's a privilege, it's an honor doing church with you. And it's kind of fun to think that we're going to be like worshiping together for all eternity and laughing together and building the kingdom together. So this is just the beginning of lots of even more cooler, awesomer things. But we still have work here on earth to do, and we need the Holy Spirit to do it. As we normally do, after our State of the Roof meeting, we issue a challenge to fast and pray. We'd like to think of ourselves as a praying and fasting church. I don't know if you're a faster, but you go without food. That's what fasting is, to focus on prayer and trust that God can provide for you what you need. So at some point in the next week, we just ask everyone to set a day aside to fast and pray for Rooftop, that God continues to bless us and protect us and empower us to do what he's given us to do. So that challenge, I think we've got one more prayer piece. Who is on? Oh, yeah, Rob is sick tonight. He couldn't be here to pray for us. Paul Colbert is actually also, he's on our elder team. He's not here either. His sister passed away recently, complications from anorexia. So pray for the Colberts as they're grieving and supporting each other. What's that? Vote total. I don't have them yet. Anna, did the budget? This high drama here at Spring State of the Roof meeting.
Straight from Ernst & Young.
Yeah. And the Oscar goes to 59 yeses, 2 noes. So resoundingly, the budget passes. And we did have enough for a quorum. Our quorum was 30, and we doubled it. So God is good. Amen. All right, so Greg, you want to wait, did you open us in prayer?
I did.
Okay, Paul Mueller.
Dear God, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to gather here tonight and see so many faces here and online, those that want to see your kingdom move in this city, God. We have plans, we have ideas, things that we want to do, but we know that not any of them are possible without you moving, without your guidance, without your spirit. And Lord, I pray that you bind us together with that spirit as we reach St. Louis, the city, the world for the gospel, God. Like I said, these plans are nothing without you, and we pray that you inhabit our praises, our ideas, our passions, our thoughts, our money, that what we do with those things, God, that you guide this church to reach people for you. There's so many lost people in this community, in this city, in this world that need to hear the gospel. And God, we pray that you give us the strength to deliver that news happily and gladly to people that need to hear it. God, I pray for this church. I pray for the leaders. I pray for all of the volunteers that continue to come week after week and build relationships. I pray that you provide wisdom to choose the next generation of leaders that you're going to lift up to do this when we're gone. And that Rooftop will continue on to reach people for you. Thank you for everyone here. Thank you for all the time and energy that went into tonight and goes into every week. And God, I just pray that you bless this church as we continue to reach people for you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thanks, everybody. See you online or Sunday morning. Thanks for coming. I know.